Good day, as you know I am Kaylin, and today we're going to be doing a video on upgrading CS Time from the top speed version to the SQL version. So now there's a few things that you need to do before actually installing the SQL version of CS Time. You need to obviously ensure that the server module is closed and any user modules or workstations are all closed and configs, everything is closed there. And then you need to also ensure that your TPS version of CS Time is on the latest gold release, or at least then it needs to be on the same version of the SQL version that you're going to install. Obviously, for safety's sake, it is best for you to go up to the latest gold version of CS Time in TPS, and obviously also use then that SQL installation, because if you're going to go and download it from the CS Time website, it will obviously be the latest gold. Okay, so you've got the latest version of CS Time now. You need to also do a few checks on the database, just as with upgrading from an older version of TNA to CS Time. You need to then do a freshen and a verify GUIDs on that database. Now it works a little bit different in CS Time, where in older versions you had it in the config module. You need to now go and open up the file maintenance or file manager in exclusive mode. So the way you can do this is, if you go to your start menu, you click on run. You need to then go and browse to where your config.exe or then your user.exe is. Put a space after that, and then you put the / file manager in there. Now once you've got that, then you can click on OK, and it'll open up the file manager in exclusive mode then. So once you've done that, you can click on tag all, you can do the freshen, and you can do the verify GUIDs once that is done there. I've already done that on my database, so I'm happy that it is ready then for us to do the SQL installation. Now once you've actually done the freshen and the verify GUIDs, you need to also go and uninstall the TPS version of CS Time. Basically what this does is it ensures that if you do have multiple workstations or even a standalone workstation, that you do not by accident open up the TPS version instead of the SQL version. So go and make sure that the TPS is uninstalled then. So once you've actually done that, we can move on to the SQL part of things. So then we need to go into our SQL server. Now you obviously have to have SQL installed on that workstation. Either your IT guys can do that for you. If you are computer savvy, you can do that yourself, and you can install anything from 2008 to whatever the latest version is of SQL there. And generally, depending on your database size, obviously SQL Express will work for you. So you can just check then what are the standards for SQL there, so you can decide if you need to go to a bigger one. Obviously the bigger your data set, you might need to consider the higher versions there. Okay, so we need to create a database in SQL then. If we right click on databases, click on new database and give this a name. Now preferably don't put any spaces in the name, just make this one, so CS Time is just one word there. You need to also go to the options tab and make sure that the collation is set to Latin 1 General CIAS. So let's just look for that, CIAS, there you go, and we click on OK. So now we've got a database for CS Time. If we go to our tables, we'll see there's obviously nothing in there because it's a brand new data set there. So once we've actually installed SQL, it'll then create all the tables that are needed there. The next thing that we need to do is create a login for CS Time. So if you go to your security and then logins, you can just right click on security, click new login, and then give this your login name. I'm going to just keep this the same. Select SQL Server Authentication. You need to put in a password for this, and obviously confirm that password as well there. Depending on what your company's setup is there, if you need to enforce certain password policies, you can do that. I'm not too worried about that, so I'm just going to untick that. We then need to also go and set the server roles, and this that we need to select here is our bulk admin. DB creator, public is already selected, and security admin. Now don't stress too much if you don't remember this, and you can always pop on over to the docs.cstime.com website, and in there you will see there is the either upgrading from top speed to SQL documents, or there is the installing CSTime SQL, so you can just take a look at that in terms of what these settings need to be. You also need to go to user mapping, and then this login that we're creating, we need to go and map to the CSTime database to ensure that it can actually log in there, and we need to go and set the server roles, or the database roles rather, as DB owner, in order for it to have full read-write access there and do what it needs to do. Okay, so you can just click on OK, and we've got our new login created, and we've got our database, so I'm pretty happy with what's going on in SQL here now. We can now move over to the SQL install. So I'm going to just minimize all this, and let me get my install. Obviously this you have downloaded from the CSTime website. And please make sure that it is the SQL version of install that you are running now, and obviously not the TPS version. Okay, so we can just follow these instructions, click on next, choose your location. I'm going to leave that on South Africa. Now depending on your current setup, whether it's a server workstation setup or a standalone setup, you would need to either select the simple or advanced there. Mine's a standalone one, so I'm going to click on simple. This should get picked up from the previous version of or the TPS version of CSTime that you had. It should pick up this location, so you can just keep that the same. This is where it should install the program files. Again, this is why I say go and uninstall the TPS version, because it does it does install into the same program files, but you just want to ensure that there isn't any TPS things lurking around there. Click on next. Then we have our data location. Once again, this should also already be in there, so you should be fine with that. Click on next, it gives you a summary, and next again, and it'll actually install the SQL version now. So what it's going to do now is it's going to get to a point where it's installed all the files, and we need to actually connect to the SQL database that we have just created with the login details, obviously, that we've also created there. So we need to just go and specify then what the username and the password is. We also need to go and configure then the SQL Server settings. So I have put this in a previous time there, so we can just make sure that these details are correct there. If you're not sure what your server details needs to be, you can pop on over to your server, your SQL. You'll see it at the top left hand side here, or else you can click on the connect button and just copy that server name there. So you can then just pop this into your installation. Yeah, let's see, and CSTime is my database that I'm going to connect to. Let's just click on next and finish. And now it'll start creating all those tables into SQL, and obviously using all the data that you've got in TPS, the TPS files then. So now depending on your database size, this might be a lengthy process, or it might go quite quickly. That it'll actually convert those things. You'll see in the top left hand side here, it shows you how many files are left, so you can just keep an eye on that and be patient. Please do not stop this process in the middle, while it's busy there, because it's obviously converting all those files there, so you do not want to do that. You might have a chance of losing some data there. Also, always do a backup before and afterwards. So before you've done install to the latest version, you can do a backup. Perhaps afterwards you can do a backup as well. It's always a good idea to keep a backup in case something somewhere goes wrong. Okay, so you can click on finish, and that's the installation done. So you should be able to run your user module now. Let's just go and double click on that, and it'll have that. Now you can at this point, if you want, to click the auto login settings here. I just want to make sure that everything is 100% correct. You shouldn't have to configure those server settings again, so you can simply click on connect, and then let's put in our username and password. That already is a good indication that it has at least connected to your database, so all should be in working order there. You can just click on your browser employees and make sure that your information is there. Once you're happy that all this information is in fact into SQL now, you will see at the you can actually start your server module then. You will see at the back then, if you look at reading data from, it'll now show this server name and obviously the SQL there and what database it's using, and then also the location of the TPS files. So that's pretty much then your SQL installation. Like I say, you can start your server module now, which will obviously connect to your devices again and collect those clockings. And that's upgrading from TPS to SQL. I hope that you will join me next time. Goodbye.